Kiss. Keep it simple, stupid.
I promise you, this is not a political podcast.
Jump, from the deep into the pool, set up the mood. Paranoid radio, set up the mood. Paranoid radio, set up the mood. Paranoid radio, set up the mood. 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 Set up the mood.
Testicles 1, 2. Testicles. Welcome back to Paranoid Radio Podcast, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I am Trebles Garcia, your humble host, and I want to thank the Lord for allowing me to be here today, and I want to thank every single one of you for allowing me to enter your space. Ladies and gentlemen, do not forget that the most important thing that you could do for the show today is word of mouth. Check us out at paranoidradio.com. Hey, we're on YouTube, guys. Take 5 seconds of your time. Stop looking at us at TikTok, and take a 5 seconds of your life to go to the search bar and check us out on YouTube. Yeah, I know. I sold out. I have to be on YouTube for most of you guys to check out our videos, man. I spunked it up a little bit, so make sure you check us out on YouTube, guys. And also, if you're going through a dark cloud, a dark time, if you are leaving addiction, if you have issues, mental, emotional problems, don't off yourself. Take 10 more seconds of life and go to paranoidradio.com and click on the 24/7 lifeline chat that we have. If you don't want to speak with anybody else, it's random, hit me up. My number's directly associated with my Instagram account. You could also reach out to me, guys. We don't need no more brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, or any other figure for that matter, dead. Especially when you're offing yourself. Guys, think about it twice and just give your burden to someone else. It only takes 10 seconds. Also, make sure you check out Cryptid Warfare Podcast and Cryptid Warfare Operations. Hit them up if you guys have been paranormally activated and or if you guys are dealing with a critter outside of your home. And live parasitic free, make kids healthy again with Ali Christine. Check her out. Guys, I don't get paid to say this. You have to check her out. Utilize the tools that she's giving you to make your kids parasitic free and also yourself. You know, we have a saying here that we think parasites are actually demons. You can start off there. Start with your first brain. Start with your gut. And do not forget that this is the most important part of the show. Drop a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. That allows other people to enjoy the show as much as I enjoy making it. Let's jump in from the deep end of the pool and set the freaking mood. Please give a warm welcome to Cesar Pagan. Oh, yeah. He is the host of Beyond the Frequency 369 podcast. What's up, bro?
Hey, Angel, how are you, man? Thanks for having me on the show, buddy. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. I reached out to you. I like your style. I like your voice. I like what you're doing. I like the way you're promoting. You're one of those dudes that you're like, man, we gotta get on the wave before he leaves us, man. So I enjoy your stuff. I enjoy your content, and I think you're gonna be great in the podcasting game, bro. And I need to have a piece of that, bro. How are you, man? Let the world where they can find you.
Yeah. I appreciate that. And right back at you, man. Once you got a hold of me, sometimes people come into your life at particular seasons and time frames, and you came in mine and I saw your work and I'm like, yeah, I resonate with this guy. I resonate with what he talks about. But outside of your content and everything that you're talking about, I see you. I see the true you, your energy, soul, and everything. And that's what speaks to me. That's what said hello to me before your content and your topics. But how you can find me. So I have a website, beyondthefrequency369.com. It'll have basically what I'm all about, what my podcast and show is all about, its purpose, its cause. It has access to all my platforms: YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, all that good stuff. So that's how you guys can find me.
Oh yeah, he's also in the description of the show, and you're gonna be able to find him on the drop-down menu of special guests and links of paranoidradio.com. Yo, your words resonated, bro. You know, there's very few people that can really read energy, and I'm glad that I was impactful enough for you to grab your attention. And I hope most likely, ultimately what I really want is for you to impact the audience, because me and you, we content create, bro, and the mission is to spread awareness, obviously, share information, motivate people to get off their phones and off trying to live the dreams of other people, influencers, for example, and then trying to mimic those negative, low frequency habits. And me myself, starting with myself, that's why I'm trying to practice what I preach. I stopped drinking, so I got to start messing with the people that don't drink and are actually more successful, and then paving the way for everybody else. So I really hope that you are not only impactful to me, but impactful to the audience. Make sure you check them out, guys. Beyond the Frequency 369. Hell of a name, bro.
Yeah.
Frequency. I like that conversation. Let me get comfortable. Bro,
Yeah.
talk to me about the frequency, bro. Wave function, 369. Why is it so
Three.
important?
369. Well, okay, so beyond the frequency, we lit everything's energy. I'm sure you heard that 1,000 times, and it's all frequencies and whatnot. So we exist in a particular frequency, and my podcast, my conversations is to talk about beyond this frequency. So we talk about channelers, mediums, people who've been abducted, people who actually literally claim, you see some of my episodes, that they actually do have a spaceship. They feel like they actually do, they fly through the cosmos. Um, my podcast pretty much started off with I just wanted to explore, just have a conversation. I know my understanding is, in order to have a big picture, like to see the big picture, I gotta understand the little pieces of that puzzle. So you, my guests, the audience, they're all pieces of that puzzle. So by talking to as many people, which is why a podcast exists, and I can interview them, I have a little bit understanding of how you do things, how you do things, how you do things. And somewhere in between there's a common thread. And I believe that common thread is the truth. Okay. So I'm an explorer, just like you are. And the way that I explore these days, just like you, is doing a podcast. It's having conversations. I don't know everything, and I don't understand everything. I know what I know. I understand what I know today. And sometimes you have these fascinating people like yourself to come into our lives and impact us and say, hey, look over here. And then when you peek beyond that curtain, beyond that frequency, you see something else and you're like, okay, that's cool. Now why is this here? And then that opens up a whole branches of new doors. And I love doing all that. 369. 369 is a powerful number. I mean, Tesla was obsessed with the number 369. And I'm going to try to quote him, but he says something like, if you only knew the magnificence of 369, you would have the keys to the universe.
Mm.
I thought that was interesting. Tesla was fascinating with that number. He would do everything in divisibles of the 3, the 6, and the 9. He would stay in hotel rooms divisible to 3, 6, and 9, or they add up to 9 or 6 or 3. Before he go into a building, he would drive or walk around it 3 times. He would use 3 napkins when he eats. Just all these different things. He'll try to apply the 3, the 6, and the 9 as much as he can. And that's what I do on my day to day. I use 3 Q-tips. I always use 3 napkins. If I'm going somewhere very important, I don't mean like to a retail store or anything like that, but just somewhere important that has value, I walk around it 3 times, in the morning, I do my manifestations, my affirmations. I do it three times. Then in the afternoon, I do it 6 times, those same ones. And then at night, I'll do it nine times. And what it does, it closes that cycle. By doing these affirmations under 369, it basically, I'm reprogramming myself to achieve certain things. And whatever that may be, sacred geometry talks about the number 3 is manifestation, 6 is harmony, and 9 is completion and enlightenment. And there's a vortex math energy flow. They talk about the 3 and the 6 are like yin and yang, and 9 represents the unity, higher consciousness, divine being, things like that. So there's just so many different angles to go with 369, but everything spirals, and it deals with the frequencies of the 3, the 6, and the 9.
That's deep. 100%. I feel you. I've been trying to do this and get into that practice of affirmations. So I do it in a sense of, I wake up in the morning at 3 a.m. to go to work every day, right? I clock in at 4. So I'm like, okay, well, I do some push-ups. I try to do 30 push-ups. Try sometimes I don't because I forget. I wake up late. But I get on my knees and I pray. And I don't pray for myself. Like, I don't ask God for anything. Towards the end, the first thing I do, how I start the conversation with God is, thank you. I woke up, I feel hungry in my stomach. That means I'm healthy. My baby's asleep. My older one, she's gonna go to school. She's healthy. She's got shoes. My wife is good. Hey, thank you again. And you could call it Jesus, you could call it the universe, you could call it the creator, but I think that being, because I'm here today, right? Then I wake up, I get off the floor, I do my thing, I get ready, and I'm driving, and I start thinking, today I'm gonna have a great day. It's gonna be a powerful day. And just how I told you today when I told you, hey, the morning started very strong, very powerful. I was like, I wasn't expecting it to go that good. I just expected it to go. But look at that, that got really good affirmations. The wife woke up. My wife is sick. She has lupus. So I'm like, every other day is a different struggle with her because all the chemicals that she's ingesting are throwing her off. So I look at her and I'm like, hey, I took the day off of work today too. So next extra, I got 3 episodes in. So I'm like, everything has to, it fits. I give God the thanks and I give him all the sorrows, the pain, all the freaking struggle that I have in my brain, all the thoughts, all that negativity. And then 3 4 hours later, I'm singing. I'm having a great time. I enter a room when I'm at my job and I enter the room with a large smile. And guess what happens? It reflects. And then that smile carries on to the next person. And then 2 minutes later, I hear somebody crack up in the deep end of the office, which means what I just did provoked that wave of energy. You could kind of see it sometimes when you walk into the room and then, oh man, hey, what's up? Hey, nice outfit. Good. Got donuts? Yeah, that's what's up. Boom, boom. 2 seconds later, ha, 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 you hear them laughing. And the energy persists for the entire day. You set the tone for where you stand. You set the tone for the energy, the aura that you have around you. And I'm not talking about, hey, I'm powerful. No, every single person has that power. This is why they always say, leave your problems at home, and then when you go to work, go fresh. And the same thing when you go back home, you want to break that cycle. And yeah, it's very important, bro. But the reason I gave you that rant was because what is one of the affirmations you would do? How do you do it? How do you practice it? What is it? What is? Teach me.
All right. That's an interesting question. So, um, okay, this might sound actually I kind of contradict myself when some people say this might sound weird, and usually on my podcast I'll tell them don't say that, because what's weird, right? Well, what's weird and what's normal, right? So let me just make sure that I
We're
remember that
paranoid over
too.
here, bro. So
We're
there's nothing
paranoid.
you. I'm paranoid over here.
Well, I start by reminding, and again I say reminding myself that I am a God. Let me just be clear about what I just said. I'm not saying I am God. I said I am a God. Okay.
You sent that over to me on the text. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I am a God. I guess let me explain why I say that.
Mm,
First of all, to give a baseline, I'm not religious, but I
mm,
am spiritual. What that means to me is that I don't follow any organized religion.
mm,
I don't attend a church. I don't follow the rules. No one's telling me you have to live your life this way in order to reach. That's great.
mm,
And I more power to everybody who does that, because I do believe that those that do follow a religion, at the baseline of all that, they believe in something higher, greater than them. And I commend
mm,
that. That's great. But I know otherwise.
mm,
So I'm spiritual. So I connect straight to what some will call source, God
mm,
with a capital G, not a lowercase g. The ones that I
mm,
say lowercase g, those are the fake gods, right? Your deities and people who pretend that they're that. Um, what do I do? So I remind myself that I'm a God. Why? I remind myself of the things that I can do, not the things that I can't do. I deal with a lot of esoteric knowledge. Um, Consciousness, spirituality is a big part of my thing, my beliefs and everything. I mean, I have the Eye of Horus, Anubis tattoos, the Ankhs, things like that. Because I study a lot of Egyptian mythology. And when I mean study, I mean by the Sumerian tablets, the Enuma Elish, the Epic of Atrahasis, the Dead Scrolls, all
mm,
of these different ancient texts. For those that don't know what that is, it's basically writings on stones. Okay. And a lot of these are in, museums and things like that. Anyway, so I read a lot of these stories, ancient knowledge, and for me, they filled in a lot of the gaps that I couldn't find at church. To be
mm,
clear, I actually did go to church when I was younger. I think we all grew up with I'm Latin. Okay, just like
Mhm.
you. I grew up with that foundation of, going to church, first communion, baptized, all that good stuff, right?
Mhm.
Um, and I don't know if I'm getting off on a tangent here, but
Mhm.
I I when I got older, I had my first experience at church where I knew something wasn't right, and had a session, a sermon, whatever. I asked a question, and he was talking about Jesus leaving at 12 years old, and then something about him coming back at 30 years old. And I asked the question like, "Hey, well, where did he go?" It was
Mhm.
a simple question. Apparently I was interrupting the whole sermon. I got removed from it and things like that.
What? Oh
Yeah,
hell yeah.
yeah. It's not a story where he left from 12 to 30 years old. It's not a story that is told in mainstream. I'm just like, what the hell? Now I ended up finding out, obviously, where Jesus went and things like that, but it wasn't through the church. So I knew that the church wasn't going to give me everything. They were giving me something, but they were gatekeeping some information and letting go whatever it was for the narrative. So that led me into esoteric knowledge that dated the Bible by thousands and thousands of years. Like what came first, the chicken or the egg, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that led me to study that information, and that just changed my whole world. Getting into ancient Egypt and things like that, which later on that led me into getting into outer body experiences, the power of the conscious mind, and things like that, which is where I'm at now. That's the level that um, that's my jam right now, if you will.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
But so I do apologize for going off on that. I'm just trying to give a little bit of a background about where my thoughts are and what I believe in. But to answer your question, Angel, is I remind myself that I'm a God, and I have a list of things. I'm great. I'm powerful. I'm
Mhm.
intelligent. I'm untouchable. Anything that dares, that's even thinking about coming at me, that's a negative thing, bounce right off like Superman. Like bullets up
Mhm.
a Superman's chest. All that
Mhm.
good stuff. And I start off the morning there. What I'm doing is I'm feeding my toroidal field.
Mhm.
And I don't know if you or anybody knows what toroidal field is, but it's the electromagnetic energy that revolves around our body. Okay,
Mhm.
it spreads 6 feet all directions, and it's basically because your brain is active and your heart is active, so that
Mhm.
creates the electromagnetic field. That magnetic field is also what contains what some will call their soul, their spirit.
Mhm.
This is why when that field is got down, what happens? Your spirit leaves,
Mhm.
your consciousness leaves. Um, so, anyways, yeah, I remind myself with all these affirmations that feeds into my field, and then I walk with that field throughout my
Mhm.
day. So just like you, when you started off powerful, that was already in the field. So as
Mhm.
you pass by people, you pass by their 6 feet toroidal field,
Bam.
they feel it. They're just like, oh shit, like I don't know what's going on. You don't have to say anything on him. They already
Mhm.
know. They already feel it.
Mhm.
So yeah,
It's I'm gonna amplify that message.
yeah,
I'm a conspiracy theorist. When we started the show, we started it because I started seeing how the pattern started with COVID-19. And by all means, everybody, this is a conspiracy podcast, so I do bash on people that have pampers all over their faces. So if I insult you, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to, but we I lost my mother to the shot 2 years ago. And
really.
and I lost family members to COVID also. I would say COVID or what they did at the hospitals, right? Which was a whole different other ballgame, a whole different style, no, a whole different rabbit hole. But when they started saying 6 feet apart, 6 feet apart, 6 feet apart, and then they blew
Did you lose? Did you lose the footing? The footage?
No, no, no. I just checked right out on my phone and the footage is still there. Guys, for the people that do not know, I'm leaving all of this in there because it's very powerful. We were speaking about frequencies, 369, auras and power and brain and magnetic fields around the body. And then when I started going on to my rant about COVID-19, The entire house just shut down, bro. The light, the air shut off. The computer still had power because it's powering my mic and stuff. But I mean, everything, everything just shut off. It was interesting how electricity played out today. That's crazy stuff. No, the
Yeah.
footage is there, so I still have it. Thank God.
Good, 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 good. As you were, brother, as you were. You were talking about your and first of all, my condolences regarding your mother.
Mm. Yeah. Thank you,
Okay,
bro.
my condolences. How long ago was that again?
2 years ago.
Man,
Exactly 2 years ago. In June, it's
damn.
gonna be 2 years. Yeah, she
Mm,
passed. She passed, and it was I think that's why I dove more into meth and coke. And because I'm the type of dude that I don't like dealing with emotion, I just go to work every day, go to work and die, basically. That's what we have saying at work. I'm like, oh, we're men. We don't cry. We just go. So, and just now I started feeling more healed and people were like, maybe you should, medium and this and that. Like, no, no, let me heal at my own pace, guys. This is personal. Anyway, the point is, when I started seeing the 6 feet here, 6 feet there. You can't get close. It started blocking your senses. They started not only bombarding all your senses with propaganda, they also started putting pampers on your face. They started keeping you from breathing so that less oxygen hits your brain, so that you behave at a low frequency pattern, so that you flip the word from being free to safe, so that you could feed your emotion instead of feeding your brain with rational thoughts and critical thinking. When all of that started happening, I was like, this is weird. This is not an attack on your psyche only. This is also an attack to your energy, your creative power. This is they're not people. Sam Tripoli says they're eating your loosh. They were using your loosh, in a way. But I feel more like this is more like they were trying to take away your time with your kids, time with your mom, time with your deceased, time with, and then they liberated the time of work. But even at that, they started bombarding your house with more Wi-Fi power. More, you have to buy stronger, more equipment, more technology, with more cameras, with more microphone, more radio frequencies hitting you left and right with high patterns and different hertz at different times. When you go to sleep, your Wi-Fi has to be Wi-Fi power. Your Wi-Fi router. Oh, there, it's ready. Your Wi-Fi router should be closer to your house, and now you should have two, because now you have more devices powered up. You see, it was a chain reaction. It wasn't just only you're sick, you're gonna die if you don't wear a mask. It was add all of these other elements around your house so that you can be complete. You see what I'm saying? They robbed you from that. Mentally, they robbed you from everything. They took away your innocence. I don't remember a day in my childhood where I spent an evening inside, indoors. My mom used to beat my ass to go outside and kick it outside. And don't come back until it's 9 and she finished tapeando. You see what I'm saying? It's
yeah,
now kids are more addicted to the phones than any other time. And it's because it was introduced to them at a very negative time. And it was also introduced to my elders. I don't know any older generation now, still to this day, that doesn't get their news from those same outlets, from Facebook, from their cell phones. And all the negative things that they speak on is a direct translation from other opinionated people, instead of taking the time to go read for themselves, spoon
yeah,
fed information to them. You see what I'm saying, right? So yeah,
yeah.
protecting your energy, protecting your mind, body, and soul. Very powerful stuff, bro.
Protect your energy, man. That's one thing that I do. I do that. I have a wife and I have two teenage boys, a 17 and a 14-year-old sons. And I teach them a long time ago how to protect their energy. And it's as simple as a thought. It's your intention.
Mm,
That's one of the bases of being a god and everything. See, when you are in a physical form, the meat suit, as we call it, we have a lot of limitations. But the limitations aren't a bad thing. The limitations is just in order for us to be able to navigate through this realm. So we have to follow these rules, right?
mm,
But and also the limitations are not a bad thing either, because um we want to have this experience. We want to have this human experience. So we have to find out. It's like if you want to go into space, you gotta wear a spacesuit. If you want to go
mm.
deep down underwater, you gotta wear a particular suit, right? So if you want to live in this third realm, you gotta wear a meat suit, you know?
Word. Hmm.
Now, before we put on these suits, the question now is, well, what are we, right? And let me ask you that question. What do you think we are? Truly, what are we?
That's a deep question. Good question.
And you
I
don't
never
have to go
take the
too,
time.
you never have to go too deep to it. Just from your current understanding today, sitting right now with me, what do you think? What do you think we are? Because obviously we weren't this before, you know, we weren't this all the time. We weren't this meat suit, right? So what do you think we are?
The universe experiencing itself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I my podcast, and it's on my website as well. And I don't even call it a mission statement. It's just an understanding that I have. We are here to experience what we're not. Okay.
Mm.
We're here to experience what we're not. So we are spiritual beings having a human experience, not the other way around. A lot of people, and I'm just going to say a lot of, church people, people that go to these, they all believe that we are humans trying to have a spiritual experience, and that's not how it
Word.
works.
That's
It's
true.
it's the other way around. Where we are spiritual beings here, taking a pause, time out from what we truly are, which are gods.
Mm.
And we came down here and we just want to have this human experience. What's it like to be on head? What's it like to go through on hills, problems, I have an understanding. And again, a lot of you folks that have no idea really a lot of my background, but just because of time and we're having this conversation, but I have an understanding that you chose to come here. You chose to come here, the true you, whatever your true name is, your true self. Um, and I don't even use the terms higher self, because when you look at when you say my higher self, even words are powerful. Even in saying that your higher self, there's like a disconnection between I'm here and that's there. You're the same thing. So I make sure I use the right words, like my true self, my expanded self, right? It's still me. And that energy, let's just, like a video game. When before you play a video game, you know what game you're going to play, you know what character you want to be. I want to be the bad guy, I want to be the good guy. I want to have that experience in the game. You know what the game's about. You know how many levels there are. You know that there might be some obstacles that you really don't know about, but you're willing to go through it. And then you also know who you're going to go online with if you play online, right? You know, I'm going to meet up with this person, but not yet. Come in on at this time frame. Like all that stuff, if you translate that into the macro, which is where we're at here and everything, you chose this game. Everything that you're doing right now, today, on this date, at this time, a long time ago, you chose to talk to me and have this conversation. And all your guests coming forward, all that experience, all the troubles and tribulations that you went through, your mom passing, all that stuff, as weird as it is for some people to contemplate it, you chose this experience. And the question is why?
Mm.
That's when someone asks me why are we here then? That's my answer. You did not you're not here to make choices. You've already made them a long time ago. What you're here to do is to remember why you made those choices. And in order to fully immerse in this experience, this human experience, you had to forget. You had to forget why you chose this.
Oh, yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
Or else, or else you couldn't really enjoy it. And when I mean enjoy doesn't mean, just the good stuff. Enjoy means everything, the bad stuff too. We live in a world of duality, high points, low points, high points, low points. It's a wave, which also looks like what? A frequency and energy. You have high days, and then you're like, oh shit, I'm having a great day. It's got to go down at some
There we
point, right?
go.
Like the stock market, right? It goes up, it's got to come down at some point, right? Everything. There's an up, a down, a left, and a right, an in and out. Duality exists everywhere. Okay, just like our emotions. So if there is, speaking about duality on it, so if I mention that we're limited here, there has to be a dual version of this, right? There has to be a version of us that is unlimited, right? And that's our true self.
Word.
I'll stop right there for a second.
That was powerful, bro. Good stuff. I think we're exactly at the 30-minute mark. I'm gonna give you a couple more minutes here just because of what happened earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. It's that understanding. It's like the brain, right? The brain and the mind are two different things. Yeah, they're still encapsulated. Now the brain is encapsulated inside your skull. It never sees the light of day, but still you know somehow, some way that the sun is beaming outside. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying, right?
Yeah.
It never
Yeah.
sees the light of day. So then your mind, it's you, your consciousness is who you are, what you decide to do, and your brain is just the hardware, the mechanism, the stuff that you can rewire to function the way you want it to, the programming, right? And then you're the software. The mind will be the software. And I just had Dan McCaff on, and he blew it up too, man, when he spoke about the mind. And he was telling me, like, you could rewire the mind a million different ways, a million different types, and a million different times. And he goes, and it's you are born superhuman, and that's the name of the of his brand. You are born superhuman. And I told him, what does that even mean? He goes, you can heal yourself. You can create different parts of your body to heal themselves rapidly, slow. You can control all of that. You need to tap in. This is why we recently found out that scientifically your DNA holds so much information, more
Yeah.
than any other super quantum computer out there in the freaking planet, still to this day. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and the omics, and I'm preparing this episode on the omics, and I've dived deep, and I was like, oh my goodness, the omics used to channel their consciousness tapped into a supercomputer hive mind type of power energy pulsating magnetic fields in the Yucatan Peninsula using blood. And this is why they would spread their blood. This is why they would using their blood, kind of like the way you use your face to open your phone, and your thumb to open your other device. You see what I'm saying? It was the
Yeah.
same way. It's the same exact logic. It's just amplified, and they made stone remember that frequency. So that frequency is in tune to the, oh my dude, if I jump into that, dude, oh goodness. I'm saving this episode for a while when I do with my best friend, because he said he wants to come back for that one. But yeah, dude, it's one of the most, frequency is one of the most important things that you need to learn how to, first of all, understand and try to manipulate it for yourself. You're doing it already every single morning when you give yourself that power, when you give yourself that treatment, that self-love, that self-preservation. You look at yourself in the mirror like, yo, I used to do when I used to go to interviews. I lost my job about 3 years ago, and I was going through a hard time, and I was like, I need to find a good job. I need to find a good job. And you know what, man? I used to get suited up and get in the car and look at myself in the mirror parked. I'm like, you're the best. You're immaculate. You're gonna deliver. You always deliver. They can't stop you. They're gonna give you all the easy questions in the world. You're gonna open memory parts of your brain that no one's ever saw it coming. And your tongue is gonna just spill it out. Be yourself. Walk in there, and I'll repeat it 8 times, 9 times. You see what I'm saying? And it's the same thing. It's reaffirming yourself, and then your brain gets coached. Very
Yeah.
powerful stuff, bro.
Yeah, man. You're definitely doing it. And regarding these folks who would transfer their consciousness through blood, yeah, man. The DNA, yeah, you're right. It does hold a lot of memory. And if that is obviously true, which we know it's true, but that means that you have the knowledge from eons, from the moment of existence. You have that knowledge encoded inside you. We all do. You know,
Mhm.
it's about unlocking it. And that's the beautiful part about, people always talk about you know, or we're taught and we're programmed at a young age to look outside of ourselves for assistance. If you're
Mhm.
sick, go to the hospital. Don't cure yourself. You don't know shit, right? If something's wrong with you, don't talk to yourself. That's crazy. Go talk to a
Ah,
to a
yep.
therapist, right?
Mhm.
You know, everything's about outside of you. If you need to worship somebody, someone's gonna, help you out. They're outside of you. They're up there somewhere and everything. But that's all about everything in the universe. But what I try to, talk to my audience about is about, look into the you inverse. There's a you inverse inside you.
Mhm.
And we don't get taught that. That's not a mainstream thing. So once you start realizing that all the solutions are inside of you, you start to tap into that God frequency, that number 9.
Unlocking that. Yep. That codex.
That codex, man. I mean, it's just there, you know. How many times on it have you ran into a situation where you don't know why you were attracted to this thing, but you just felt right about it, right? There's no information that came prior to that. But what's happening is there's a knowing. Where does the knowing come from? Not from outside of you, it comes from inside of you. That's you stepping back into what I call remembrance. And that's a lot of what my podcast does too, that by having these conversations, whatever it is, as you're listening to it, it triggers a remembrance. It helps you remember who you truly are before the world convinces you otherwise.
The world convinced you otherwise.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they do.
Yeah. So remember who you are.
That's their mission.
Remember who you are. And their mission is to help you forget and keep forgetting. They know that you came here and did what? Forgot who you are.
So they keep
now
it's forget.
Exactly. They keep making you forget. They distract you and everything. And then you never learn how to remember who you are. There's other experiences outside of the human experience where you remember everything. You have the full memory of what you are, whatever that is, what you are, and you can still have those experiences, but with full memory of who you are. This is the only, I'm going to use the word construct. Think about the word universe and just turn that into construct. So everything that you know, this construct is one of a kind. Out of an infinite amount, this is one of a kind. And this is the only one that the experience is so unique that you have to forget who you truly are in order to experience it.
Without even knowing, jumping into the abyss. Now, that's what I talk about when we say we're going to jump in from deep into the pool and set the freaking mood. Good stuff, bro. And that was just an entry-level conversation with Beyond the Frequency 369. Bro, let them know where they can find you.
You can find me on YouTube at Beyond the Frequency 369. You also find me on my website.com, Spotify, all that good stuff. Check me out. Listen to a lot of the interviews. I have solo ones that I do myself. I tell you about the veil that's coming in 2027. I have.
We're gonna have to tune into your show for that.
Yeah, tune in and everything stuff. What's coming, who you truly are, a remembrance. But the takeaway that if I may just tell folks is the same as I do as my sign off. I love you. I hear you. I see you. I am you.
Oh. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you check him out. Beyond the Frequency Podcast, Beyond the Frequency 369. He's on Instagram. He's also on the description of the show. Check him out. Drop a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. That allows other people to enjoy the show as much as I enjoy making it. Mad love and respect, bro. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.